Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ham Radio Basics Live, Season 1, Episode 6. Very special guest, Anthony from N8VOX The Everyday Ham. Anthony, it's a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity, and looking forward to chit-chatting. I've been watching some of your live streams and your videos, and hey, you're an everyday ham. What can I say?
Hey, I love that. I absolutely love that. Want to welcome a few in the chat. Janice Emery. Janice, you've been a great supporter of the channel. Thank you so much. Floyd Motes, thank you so much for showing up. He's one of my drone guys. So thank you guys for being in here. You know, one of the first questions I really kind of ask everybody, and I know when, but what prompted you to get started with ham radio, Anthony?
Sure. Well, I started my working days in broadcasting, and then got to the point where we had 2 kids, and I was like, yeah, I need to buy diapers and food for these kids. So I had to get out of full-time broadcast. I got into IT. And what's interesting is my hobby had always been computer stuff. We're talking the early mid 90s. And my hobby had always been computers and BBSs. People remember those and whatnot. But then when I got into IT, it's like, man, I need a new hobby. And thankfully, a good friend of mine that I worked with, N8VOX, Dave, he says, hey, man, I'm going to a ham fest this weekend. I'm like, bro, I don't eat much pork. It's cool. He's like, no. It's ham radio. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, well, let's go check it out. Anyways, we went to that, and I came back from that absolutely resolute. I was going to get my technician license. So this would have been in 96, and passed my tech, and that was really cool. And then went and passed the general written, and I couldn't get past the Morse code thing. I just simply didn't have time. We were raising kids and kept having kids, and between that and jumping around in IT, I just didn't have time for Morse code. So anyway, so I stayed a technician for a long time. And then, kind of like many people, I think it's just been kind of on and off over the years. And then I had a friend reach out to me a few years ago and said, hey, you're a ham, right? I said, yeah. He says, yeah, I'm thinking about getting my license, and what can you tell me? So, I started digging in. Well, the more I started digging in and helping him, I'm like, man, what the repeaters like around here? Man, let me tell you. We talked a little bit about this, off camera before the show about clubs. I'd had a couple of bad experiences with clubs. The club here in the county I live in, the Black River Amateur Radio Club, absolutely wonderful people, very welcoming. Like after I checked in on the Sunday Night Net the first time, I got a QSL card from the net control guy. I mean, it was just absolutely awesome, and they have just welcomed me in and now I'm the secretary for the club and very involved, and it's just really cool. And in that time, I've the code requirement all gone now, so I was able to get my general and extra this last year, and I'm so glad there's no more studying, although we're always learning. But that's pretty much my story, and I love operating. I really do get on the air just about every day, so I am an everyday ham, and we have some great people in our local area, and I've met some wonderful people here online, including yourself now. And it's just a great community. It's a community really is the best word. I mean, you never know who you're talking to. You could be talking to literally the King of Jordan,
Yeah,
or perhaps someone in Congress, or perhaps some dude down the road. You never know. And the great thing is like the ground is just level in ham radio, and I love that about our hobby.
exactly. And that's one of the things. And we were talking before the show, and I wanted to share this with everybody. What a wonderful, welcoming, brotherhood here. After I got started on YouTube, I was telling Anthony, I know how much Jason Ham Radio 2.0 was helpful to me. Josh from Ham Radio Crash Course. These guys were great. They answered a lot of questions for me. They helped me along. I started getting my T-shirts from a place that Jason, where he gets his, because I really like and I found it. And I asked Jason, where do you get your shirts from? Because I really like them. And he told me Apparel Lab out of Alabama, and they do a fantastic job. But all in all, you're right. It really is. It's a wonderful community, and I got to say this. I really haven't found too many bad apples here, which is great. You
Yeah.
know, I did get a comment though, and this was real interesting. I put one, I put a video up about my Chameleon MPass 2.0 and setting it up, and I had my not my rig analyzer, but my MFJ one, and we're going through and doing the SWRs, and everybody goes, well, he goes to me, he said, well, if you get a resonant antenna, you don't have to worry about. I'm like,
Yeah. Hey,
okay,
you know what? Different strokes, man.
yeah,
Everybody, that's a great thing about a hobby of hobbies like this. There's so many ways to do everything. Resonant, non-resident. I mean, you know, chocolate chips or raisins. I mean, you know.
Steve from Temporarily Offline,
Yep.
one of his favorite sayings, and it's really kind of stuck with me. It's the hobby of 1,000 hobbies.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
and he was so right. He came on the show, and I think it was one. It's on the show. He said that, and he's so right. It really is. You can, and see, that's the beautiful thing about this. There is a never-ending source of being able to do, create content, because there's so much you can do.
Yeah.
If you look at, for example, antennas, okay, you could spend a year creating 365 videos, and you wouldn't even have scratched the surface on everything you can do with antennas. Okay,
Oh yeah. Yeah. All
that's
you have
just
to do, pick up the ARRL antenna book, and you'll be good for several years. I mean, just
oh
trying
yeah,
different things. I bought that in what, 2000, 2001, something like that. And I still have it on the shelf. Um, and I still pull it out every couple of weeks, and I probably should buy a new one. It's getting a little tattered, but it's a great book. And there's so many. See, antennas is just one aspect, right? I mean, yeah,
yeah,
you got to have an antenna to get on the air, but nowadays with like digital voice, I'm really
oh
blown away
yeah,
by that. With my little hotspot here, I was able to talk to a dude literally out like the South China Sea. He was on some merchant vessel, on a hotspot. I'm like, bro, really? It was like, wow, okay. And some, will say, well, that's not ham radio. You know what, dude? There's RF involved, and you can't use it without a license. It's okay. It works for me. Um,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. I push the naysayers aside. I just, and see, and one of the good things is I think I'm on Twitter too, and I have a really good following out on Twitter, and and people have just been so friendly and
Mhm.
accommodating out there as well. There's one thing, for me, for social media, I found again the community has just been helpful and friendly and absolutely just I can't say enough about it. It's just been fantastic.
Well, and for the people that aren't nice, that's why we have the band hammer. And you can't hesitate to swing that thing, because you're not going to convince anybody really, probably, of anything. I mean, if they're already set in their ways like that, I mean, hey, have fun, buddy, but just go do it in your yard, not mine.
Well, it was funny. I went out there, and it's so funny what some of the trigger subjects are. And one of them was, and I went out to, and it's a really large group. It's called Ham Radio. It's on Facebook. I
Oh
think they have over
gosh,
a hundred
yes.
thousand on there. It's
Yeah.
really great. But somebody brought the subject up of grounding. Oh my gosh! You
Yeah.
think it was, oh, the Pope's not Catholic. I mean,
Yeah, it's a holy war. Yeah.
oh my gosh, it was like I was like, guys, you are making this to be way too more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is.
I
And
appreciate
that,
their passion. I truly do. And I think it's great that people hold such strong views about those things. And many probably have personal experience that causes them to feel that way, and that's cool.
yeah, yeah.
But it's
I
one of
can
those
understand,
things.
if you've had a lightning strike and you've lost your rig, even if you've grounded it properly, you're there. You know what
Yeah.
it's like. And if you could be one of the fortunate ones and having grounded, it's just like, yeah, I'm
And
there.
you're in Florida, right? So you had a lot
Yeah.
of lightning down there, right?
Oh yeah. Well, they nicknamed the hockey team here the Tampa Bay Lightning for one reason. Okay,
Okay.
we
Yeah.
are the
Okay.
lightning capital of the world here. I mean, especially during the summertime, it's ferocious. And that's one of the things with an antenna. That's a whole nother subject on a whole nother evening. I was going to ask you, Anthony, what do you have? What radios do you have in your shack?
Sure. My everyday ham, 2-meter 440 is a FTM 400, which is now discontinued. And although I kind of go back and forth between that and ID 5100 from ICOM, we actually our club put up a fusion repeater, so I thought I'd like to have that in the shack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I've got that in here now. And then for HF, I have an ICOM 7300. Love it, love it, love it.
Oh yeah.
I am seriously looking at something. It's funny. It's a great rig to start with, especially when you're just kind of getting into HF and whatnot. It's really powerful. Love it, love it. But after a while, you're like, I wish I had another antenna port. I wish there was a second VFO. Wouldn't it be cool to put that on the screen over here? So it's kind of thing that, I mean, you could use it for a long time, and I have, for a couple of years now. But I'm really looking at another rig. I definitely have Flex on the radar. The Sun SDR looks very interesting too. But boy, a 7610 would be pretty nice sitting over here too.
Oh yeah, that.
But
I
have a myriad of HTs, and it's funny because when you become a new ham, it's like, I'm gonna get a new radio, and then you start getting HTs, and they start recreating and repopulating your whole shack, right? And it's like, honestly, I probably need like 1 or 2 HTs, and that's about it. If I was going to do it over, I would have put more effort into getting an HF rig that I could grow into, like a 7300 or maybe a G90 or something like that. I guess I'd be happier with just 1 or 2 HTs, but they're kind of fun.
Yeah.
I probably put more attention into the antenna than I would the radio. But
one of the best pieces of advice is somebody, and I think it was from a YouTube video, and I'm not sure who it was, talked about signal stick for an HT. And I'm like, okay, it was like going from night into day. I mean, it was just. Yep. What an incredible difference with things like that. And again, that's one of the beautiful things about, going out and finding things and getting answers off of YouTube. I mean,
we got one of those. And then you can do all the cool,
Oh, like, yeah.
Sorry. Hit my microphone there. And you can do the old, you walk into a restaurant with one of these and they're like, what in the.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. That's absolutely fantastic.
Fun. Yeah. Well, I know have these. I'm sure at HamVention. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I know you recently went to HamCation, and I know it was a great experience. One of the questions I wanted to ask you, and I know you did a video on it, is the IC905, and that's one of the things. I talked to Jason about that. I talked to Mike about that. Just wanted to get your take and what your thoughts are on that after having.
It's cool. It's cool technology. It's really cool. And I just tell you, it's just not my thing. We don't have anybody in my area doing any kind of microwave stuff. I mean, not that we wouldn't, but my gosh, it's like house payment, 905, car payment, 905, I'm like,
oh yeah.
So, I believe it does 2-meter and 70 centimeter as well. But I've got those, and, I don't know, I guess I'm glad they're doing it, and I know there's an audience for it, and I know in some geographies there's a lot of people that do it, like mountaintop to mountaintop and stuff like that. It's very cool. It just doesn't float my boat. What I'd really rather see them do, and ICOM, Yaesu, and all of y'all need to get on this bandwagon, is make a 2-meter mobile that has sideband. That's what we really need to have. And Andy says he'd be here all day if he had to list all of his radios. That's cool, Andy. But I would rather see a 2-meter sideband. It's like, great. Well, we got digital this and digital voice that and whatnot. But come on, man, give me 2-meter sideband at 50 watts mobile. That'd be really cool. But I don't know. It's cool technology, the 905, and it definitely garnered an audience down there. But not my thing. Probably not something I'm going to be buying. I'd buy 9700 before I bought one of those. So
yeah, and I agree with you 100%. And it was HamRadio DX. He put out a video about it, and I think he may have tweeted what the prices were in Australia, and I was like,
yeah, it's like around 3,500 US if you extrapolate that out and
yeah,
do the conversion. And he's very excited about it, and I'm really happy because he like in his area, he's done videos before where they're doing like 10 gig contacts and stuff, and that's really cool. So for someone like him, totally worth it. Yeah,
exactly. And I think the whole reason, and one of the things that I remind people about is we have to remember ICOM is a Japanese company, okay? And from my understanding, microwave is pretty big over in Japan. So hence, they're gonna put out something like this, which, it's kind of geared for their home market, and I get it and I understand it. But like you, microwave's not a big thing where we're at down here, okay? That's just not feasible. And like you, car payment, mortgage payment, yeah, okay, the priorities come first. But no, it's not, because I'm in a total agreement with you on that, Anthony. I just think, like I said, if I were to spend my money right now, I'd get a 9700. Okay,
yeah,
I don't have one, but I mean, if I were to look to to want to spend some of that kind of money. So,
well, when you tell us spend that kind of dough, have you looked at the Flex radios? Have you taken a good look at those?
Yes,
dude. Wow. I continue. The other thing I'm starting to get into is contesting, and I talked to a few hams. They're at HamCation, and like, okay, what about contesting? If I want to avoid ICOM and Yaesu, just for a number of reasons, I want to do something other than that. What do you think? And of course, Flex always comes up, and I am thoroughly impressed. And I don't know. I'm just wondering if I need to have a spaghetti dinner or some other kind of fundraiser to give me one of those, because it looks really, really cool. Like,
yeah,
wow,
I've
stuff
seen
you
them
can do with a
before.
Flex is crazy.
Yeah, I've seen them before, and I decided something after looking at it and spending some time on it. I don't like sleeping on the couch. Okay, I like sleeping on the bed, and you know, in my piggy bank isn't there for it.
Well,
But who's to say? Someday, because like you, that just that Flex really intrigues me. I don't know, when I first saw a video, I think about a year or so ago, I saw a video and I'm like, wow, okay, these things are like incredible. Because up until then, I was like, oh, the bee's knees is Elecraft, and that's that you got to get one of those.
Yeah, those are cool too. Yeah.
And which is really cool, and also a piggy bank breaker. But when I saw Flex, I was like, ooh, wow, this is really, really heady stuff. And if Santa ever put one under the tree for me, I would not tell him to take it back to the North Pole. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's the old joke that I'm concerned that when I pass away, my wife is going to sell all my radios for what I told her I paid for them. But Andy Colley in the chat is saying that there's a geosat fixed over the US, and yeah, that's a good point. People doing satellite work, you can point that if it's geostationary like that, I suppose, or I guess if you had the ability to move with them and whatnot. But that would be cool for a 905. And I think there's a place, certainly a place in the hobby for stuff like that too. That'd be pretty cool. Like, yeah, so what repeater are you on? Oh, it's let's
see here, it's kind of moving right now.
Yeah.
One of those kind of things. Well, and I gotta say this, I loved your interview with the Shack in the Box guy. Tell us some more about that, because I just absolutely love that.
James Lee and the Lee family are just beautiful, wonderful people. Just about the first family of ham radio. I really, really appreciate them and what they do. If you don't know James's story, a couple of years ago, I think it was now, a couple of years, 18 months or so, he went in for what should have been routine, ended up going way south. He was in the hospital for a few months, and he has had several amputations, and which is, a tragedy. But his approach to that has just been incredible. And even before all of that, you could see through their channel and through their videos, and thank you, Andy. Yeah, about a year ago, you can see through their channel and through their children. All of them are hams, and their kids are like competitive contesters, and it's hilarious to watch them working, because they're like, okay, yeah, you're 5'9" Florida QRZ. And they're just
Wow.
moving, man. Great family. And anyways, I had this tragedy happen, and James, his response has just been fabulous. His attitude, a lot of people could just go, everything could just go in the dumper, and he's not doing that. He's actually turned it around. He was looking for some support for amputees on YouTube, didn't see anything too great, so he started his own channel. Well, there you go, man. I mean, and he's doing great with it. No Limb Jim. You should really go subscribe to that, everybody, if you haven't yet. Just look for No Limb Jim on YouTube. Fabulous channel. And it's really great to see his progress. But they're super nice people. And the Shack in a Box thing is just a great idea. I mean, could you go and do all that yourself? Sure, if you want to put all that time and effort into it. I don't have time for that. Nobody got time for that. And but he and his family put these Shack in a Box. For some people, it's been like a command center in a box that they've sent it out to, some places. Anyways, I did a video with them, like you said, talking about Shack in a Box. I have another video coming up, if you don't mind. I'll just throw it out there, talking about his ham story. So he's going to tell his ham story and also talk about the GoFundMe that they have for their family. The dude can't work. I mean, he's even if his wife could go work, she can't, because she's running him to doctor's appointments, medical appointments nearly every day. So, they're just super nice people. It's the kind of thing that like a community like ours can come around and help someone like that. And I tell you what, you watch their kids are so smart. They're all homeschooled and just super bright. Anyways, I don't want to spoil it, but he's got a great story. He's someone you should have on your stream. Honestly, he's a great guy. And he was very generous. He gave me 45 minutes of video that I'm chopping down into 3 different videos. I mean, there's so much content there. Super nice. And the Shack in a Box product, fabulous. I mean, dude, and then they have like the solar, what do they call it? The Solaris something.
Yeah.
Anyways, so they have a solar charging kit and battery power. It's with the LifePo, the Biono batteries. Brilliant and really high quality stuff. And individuals would enjoy it. I'm not trying to do a commercial, but individuals would enjoy it. But also, what I thought is, a lot of us are involved in Aries, races, AugsCom, and whatnot. And sometimes, it's like, well, we need to, put together a shack for EOC or whatever. Dude, that's EOC in a box, right there.
It really
is.
It's
portable. So, and a lot of times, with their organizations, whether it's your county sheriffs or your whoever does, wherever emergency management runs out of, dude, they can write grants. Okay. They can find the money and get something like this. And totally worth it. I think it's, yes. And Andy Cowley says on here, yeah, James is a great guy. Totally agree. So,
yeah, Andy, thanks for contributing.
Sorry, I don't mean to go on and on about that, but I tell you that they are super nice people.
Please do. I could have you take the rest of the show to talk about that, because I fell in love with him as well too, and hopefully they'll be at HamVention, because I'm going to be there, and I would absolutely love to meet him and just spend a few minutes just to talk to him, because his story is incredible. I'm looking forward to your next video with that, but just. You just can't help but love him, and you just can't help but love that family and what they do. And, and they build quality products. I've talked to people that have them, and they say, these are quality products. These are really well done. And you know what? I have the technical skills to probably be able to pull it off, but you know what? I'm like you, time. Okay. Time is my, right now I'm on a project that's at work. I'm in IT. It's like 60-hour weeks right now. It's just off the charts crazy. So, I have very little time outside of eat, sleep, work, to do stuff like that. So, but yeah, that's a really good thing. One of the other things that I'm kind of hopeful, and I want to talk to the ICOM guy when I go to HamVention is, I was all set and I was just ready to pull the trigger on a 7100 when poof, they just went up into the stratosphere and gone. Okay. And I'm hoping, and from what I hear, okay, we're maybe this summer we might start seeing them again. And again, it's because of the whole part shortage kind of dealio. But I'll tell you what, that is a radio that's on my list right now to get, because it does so much. It really does, and it does it well. Everybody I've talked to has loved that radio.
Yeah, I had a chance to buy one of those with a screwdriver antenna and remote control for the antenna, and for a really good price, and I passed on it. I can't believe I did. I saw it at HamFest last fall. Used, looked to be in good shape. It was still catching a good price, like $750. I'm like, wow, dude. But you could buy one new at that point for a couple of hundred more bucks. But some radios, I can't figure them out. Although I did get a clue recently. It's like, hey guys, hey ICOM, we'd like to do this. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Hey ICOM, what if you had da 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 da? Yeah, we're not going to do that. Nope, not going to do it. And it's like, really, dude? And my understanding is a lot of what they and I don't know if this is gospel truth, but I understand that it's other markets, not ham radio, that is the primary. But maritime and land mobile is more their primary market, and where the real money is. And so anything we get in ham radio is kind of breadcrumbs, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how much credence to give that. It's just what I've heard. But it makes sense now that I see it's because like a 5100, like a Mark II, right? Make it a color screen. I tell you what, make it a screen that doesn't fade over time being left in the vehicle. Yeah, no, we're gonna do that. No. Okay, well, how about your new HT? Could you put Wi-Fi in there? No. I'm not gonna do that. No. Like, okay. Well, just but I gotta tell you, man, they make great radios. That 7300 is darn near ubiquitous. I mean, so many people have it. The 7100, great mobile rig. That's one thing I want to do this year is I want to get into HF mobile. I think that'd be pretty fun, so I could go roving on some
I just picked up an FT891, and cool. I got it from I get my gear from a lot of places, but I have a tendency to go back to DX Engineering. Their shipping's been, you over $99, shipping is free. Their return policy is fantastic. I've had some issues before. Their customer service was just exceptional. I've had good luck with that. I've done, and I bought stuff, Ham Radio Outlet, Gigaparts. They've done me well. But time and time again, DX Engineering, and more often than not, they have them in stock. I know right now, like, you can't get an 891. They're at least another month out from getting stock again, which is it's just crazy the way things are.
I think my wallet just breathed a sigh of relief.
Yes. Well, I ended up, this is so funny. Okay. A couple of months ago, I saw, and I don't know who, I think Mike, he put out a video about that mod for the 891, the power pole mod. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he said, you need to contact, I think Frank's his name, I think. And I'm like, okay, or Jason Wang. Okay. And he says, and I go out there, and he said, put your name and I'll email you an invoice when I have them in. So the other day, last week, I get this invoice from something or other on PayPal, and I'm like, wait a minute, time out. I didn't order anything. What's going on here? And then I dug a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
And then I realized, well, see, my PayPal account is on my main email address. It's not on Ham Radio Basics. Okay. So I'm like, head scratcher. What's going on here? So I got to Ham Radio Basics Gmail, and I'm like, poof, there it is. I figured it out. I added. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh. And my wife goes, we got to go up to the mail. We have our mail delivered to a kiosk where we live in the community where we live. So I said, we got to go up and get the mail tonight. She says, what's going on? This is great. This is absolutely great. And I open up in front of her. She says, what's so great about a couple pieces of wire and a couple of plastic? I'm like,
I get that eye roll sometimes too, dude. So
yeah, I'm like, okay. I said, yeah. Question for you. Have you tried to convince your better half to maybe get a technician license or not?
Yes, actually. And she really is running out of excuses. Well, if she's getting an earshot or not. And that couch is looking awfully comfy there, Bill. Anyways, I recorded the entire technician question pool as an audiobook. My day job, I'm a voiceover guy. I do commercials and narration and all kinds of stuff. And I've done several audiobooks. And so I recorded the whole technician pool, the new pool, as an audiobook. And she was my spotter. So she sat and listened to me narrate every question and only the right answer, every single one of them. And so, and we put that out there. That's on YouTube. It's also on my website. It's totally free, no strings attached. I just put it out there as a blessing. Anyways, she has literally heard every question and every correct answer. And I think she's getting close. She's getting really close. It helps too that we have a number of the wives of the guys in the club are, they have their calls. They don't talk on the repeaters or anything like that, but they got their tickets, and I know she could do it. She totally can. She is so smart. She wasn't valedictorian. I think she was like, third or fourth or something. She was very high up in her class in high school, and she's way smarter than me. I'm the radio guy. I mean, she's the one that had the full ride to college. So, she's, I think so. I think she's coming around. Maybe this year. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the same with my wife. Well, my story in getting with ham radio was, up for years, and I'm like, the first time I dug into it, and I'm like, you got to do Morse code, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
okay, I backed out. Well, I moved down here to Florida in 2011, and one of the things that hit me right away was communications because we have these things called hurricanes, and they can be really devastating and knock everything off the grid. And I'm thinking, what can get through in a hurricane? And the answer was ham radio. So that's what got me started in 2014. I started studying. I started taking. I think I took the technician test in 2015, and then I ended up in rapid order. By 2016, I had my extra. And one of the things I did was, and I'm not sure where it was. I think it's still out there. They had a rotating question pool, okay, which I thought was fantastic because you didn't memorize answers, okay. You knew the question and you knew the answer to it, and that really helped me. I think I missed like 3 on the extra, which everybody's like, "You only missed 3." I was mad I didn't get all of them. Okay.
Yeah. I talked to a guy recently who says, "Oh yeah, I aced it." I said, "Excuse me, you aced the extra?" "Oh yeah, I didn't get any wrong." I'm like, I'm not worthy.
Well, conversely, okay, I have my part 107 for drones. Okay.
Sure.
Then I have a YouTube channel because it's monetized, and I gotta be, be a professional, not a hobbyist with that. Okay. Well, studying for that test was, you talk about, it's really, and I've talked to private pilots before, and they've told me, Bill, you're taking a private pilot's exam is what you're taking, okay? Most of those questions do not even begin to apply to flying a drone, not even close, okay? And one of the things, and I talked about it last night on my show with one, I had a guest on last night on my drone show, and I said, you know what? The FCC and the FAA are light years apart. Okay.
Oh yeah.
The FAA has no clue what they're doing. They're gonna try to institute a thing called remote ID. So like law enforcement and everybody can basically see where you're flying at, and that's supposed to be coming in September this year. And it's like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. And I told them the FCC, I'm like, you know what? You pass, you get your and you're good for 10 years. You send in your fee online, boom, you're re-up. That's it. You're done. Okay. And with the FAA, it's jumping through hoop after hoop after hoop. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. Shout out to T-Ray in the chat. He's here now too. It's cool.
Hey T-Ray, welcome. He just started following me on Twitter, and I absolutely love that. Well, one of the great things about going to like HamCation or HamVention is connecting with other YouTubers there. Okay. Yeah. And I saw you connect with Frank from Tank Radio. Okay. Yeah. That was awesome. Frank is just such a great guy. Every time I see him, I have a smile on my face. Okay. Because I know he brings so much energy to the room.
Yeah.
I just absolutely love that. Your interview.
The thing is, he that energy, he's always like that. It's great. Frank is he is a nice dude. Other than Steve, KM9G, Frank was one of the first ones I met at HamCation, and we just walked up to the table. There he was, just sitting around, and then very, very nice, very pleasant. And full of energy. And then, we went, hopped in the car and went to the POTA there in Florida. And he was full of energy there. And yeah. T-Ray says Frank is good people. He really is. And, it's neat because, you spend enough time with somebody, start to get to know them a little bit. I mean, we're not like blood brothers or anything like that, but I had some nice conversations with Frank. It was really nice to get to know him and know that he has a soft side too. And he's kind of a big teddy bear, super nice guy. I have nothing but respect for the man. Has a great channel, has some great goals that he's pursuing, and I'm really happy for him. And I was genuinely enriched running into a number of the YouTubers, other ham tubers down there. It was a good time between him and Jason and Steve. Steve and I spent a lot of time in the car because I had a car and I just picked him up and we just drove all over and where we needed to go. And then there was one night before the night before the Hamfest opened, we all went to dinner at a place called Yard House, which was a lot of fun. And it's just cool to not just talk shop really, but really just kind of let your hair down, and which is funny because most of us don't have much hair.
Yeah. I hear
but
you.
I mean, the figure of speech, but no, it was really good. Yeah. Actually, T-Ray, you're right. He is kind of bashful despite his persona. Yeah, totally agree. And once you get through that, you see that he really is kind of a softie, and I like him. I think he's a really nice guy. So
yeah, he is.
Great channel, good content. You should.
He does.
Definitely check out his channel.
He has very good content. And I just absolutely love seeing pictures. Of people with people. I know. There was a Hamfest in Houston this past weekend, and I know Mike was there. I know Jason was there, and I know. Do you know Vern Six?
Yeah, actually, working on getting him on my show for a live stream. Vern cracks me up because the stuff he posts on social media, I think to myself, yeah, I would have said that. oh my gosh, were we like separated at birth?
Yeah.
He's super funny. I think he's a great guy, and I've enjoyed seeing his content. He's put out a few videos, and he's had a lot going on lately. Hasn't put out many videos, but he's had a lot going on in his life, and great guy, super cool dude. He'll be on my show at some point. You will be too.
Yeah, so. and I want to, and likewise, I want to get Vern on here as well. And I know we've had several great chats, and I just absolutely love him. And I know he's been going through a lot, and and I've been praying for him. I mean, that last incident he had was just like wow, and I'm like, oh, dude, this is just I was like, put a tent over your house. I mean, really, seriously, it gets to that point. Well, I had, and he told, he shared with me, when he had COVID, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, and I thought I had what I thought was pretty bad. I had 103.5 fever, and I ended up getting, this was so weird. And I asked the doctor in the ER because, I had to go and get some medicine for it. It was anti-nausea medication. I had the worst case of hiccups in my life when I had COVID.
Wow.
I was like, and I asked the doctor, I said, doctor, please tell me what's going on here. He says, yeah, unfortunately, that's one of those rare side effects from COVID. I'm like, oh, okay. That makes me even more unique now, that I have. It's like, oh, but it's like, as I told my wife, I would not wish it on my worst enemy. Okay.
It's funny through all of this. If I had COVID, I don't know that I did. There was one time when I thought, I don't feel so good for a day or two, but we did the tests and everything, nothing. So I have actually dodged that the whole time, and I'm very thankful for that. But definitely not something. My wife had it, and she spent a week up in the room, and just we took her meals and everything. But a couple of my kids, if I got it, I don't think I had any symptoms. So
yeah, see, that's what we did, the quarantine thing. We have a spare bedroom, and my wife just, what's nice is she works from home. She works in the office half a day and at home half a day. I work 3 out of 5 days a week from home. Well, it's like, it was like two ships that passed in the night. I'm like, go ahead, go to the kitchen. Let me know when you're done, and I'll go in and
Yeah,
get my
yeah,
stuff, and everything. And and we did that for about a week till I tested negative. But it was, and see, we're joined at the hip. I mean, we're that close, and it tore me apart because I'm a people person, and I can
sure.
tell. I know I can tell, Anthony, you're probably the same way. Like
Yeah,
I love being around people, and it just drove me nuts because all I could do would be like watch TV all the time, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I got old.
yeah. That was when she was down with that. That was definitely not fun. When Dr. Mom is sick, it's and then, there's a couple more that were sick at the same time, and it was like, telling people don't come over. Just
Yeah,
don't come over.
don't come over.
Unclean. you know. But so you work at home 3 days a week or so. Are you like on lunch break ever to get to play a little radio or anything
Oh
like that?
yeah,
Or
oh yeah. And that's one of the nice things is, what I end up doing is on days I work from home, usually, my wife leaves for work about 6:30 while I'm up. I get myself together. I usually get on about quarter after 6 in the morning. So, at lunchtime, I have wonderful, well, I also, sometimes we'll get out and fly the drone, which is
sure.
nice. But I got to be careful because there's a lot of construction. They're finishing. We live in a retirement community, um, and they're finishing the development. And I got to be real careful because they're building. Like at one time, there's at least 50 or 60 houses right down the street are going up right now at the same time. It's
Wow.
just like it's insanity. Okay, it's just pure insanity. And I got to be careful. Try not to fly over them and everything, and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, I like to take some nice breaks during lunchtime as far
That's
as that's
cool.
concerned. What's a real kicker though is my drive to work. It's about an hour and 20 minutes.
Ooh.
So that's not so nice. But you know what? I told my wife I got a couple more years left before I retire. I can tolerate the 2 days a week going, doing that thing. So
Well,
you know,
that's a good time too, though. I mean, you get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm on this repeater now, but I'm getting out of range. So I'm getting the range of the next one. And if you want to play radio on the way there and the way home, you can. Podcasts, whatnot. A lot of times I'll come in here and maybe I'll try to catch some POTA stations during the day, or I'll play FT8. 15 meters has been always good for me for DX. 10 meters has been nuts lately.
oh yeah.
Last week I couldn't sleep, so I got up at like 4, and wow, there's some really good DX at 4 in the morning.
Wow.
I worked 2 VK stations on 40 meters and FT8. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So yeah, if you have insomnia, just go to your shack, and you never know who you might run into.
Well,
So
see, that's another thing. What one of my side effects from COVID was horrible insomnia. So
mm,
yeah, I was spending all my time at night watching your videos, watching Jason's videos, watching
wow.
Josh's videos.
And my videos didn't put you to sleep. My God.
Oh no, not at all, not at all. Well, I know.
Well,
You said you're gonna be at HamVention, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. My wife's coming with me as well down to HamVention as well too, and she's been fantastic. Like I said, we pretty much will do everything together, and she learns a lot. You think she's just not, she's a sponge. She absorbs a lot and understands a lot, and she asks such intelligent questions. I mean, there's sometimes she'll ask questions like when I had I got invited by DJI for the premiere of the Mavic 2 like 3 years ago over to Brooklyn, New York. And we went, and she did the videography, which she did fantastic. But she also asked several great questions from some of the people there, which I thought was fantastic. So I mean,
Cool.
she's she's my right hand man, so to speak. She really
Yep.
really helps me out along my journey on the
Yep.
channel. But
Yep.
I
Same
haven't
here.
been. Have you been to HamVention before?
Yeah, actually, last year was my first year going.
Oh, okay.
Everybody is always, in our area. You understand, when I got licensed, there were, some clubs locally in Kalamazoo where I lived, and they would get a bus and just go down there, a whole bus. And a lot of clubs will do that. They'll just charter a bus and go. I never did that. And then we moved around for a few years and whatnot. But now that we've kind of settled here in this area where we're at, I did go last year, had a great time, roomed up with my Elmer, KJNO. Shout out to Scott. Man, we had a great time. I mean, holy cow, dude. I mean, you take a whole day just walking around the inside. Then you need to go outside and do the outside swap. I mean, it was insane. I mean, it is so huge. You really can't do it in one day. I mean, if you do, you're not going to see, it's not going to be a quality thing. You really got to have a couple of days. And, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I will say that the food was fabulous there. They had tons of food vendors. I mean, pork chop sandwich? Sure. That right over there. Oh, you want Thai food? Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, it's right over there. Want some homemade ice cream made on site? Yeah, it's right over there. Really, really good. Scott and I were kind of cheap. We packed peanut butter sandwiches, but we did treat ourselves to a chili cheese fry. And I think I got a lemonade once, but we're cheap. What can I say? We're hams. We're cheap.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Well, it's
it was a good time. And what's really cool too is all the, I mean, you see everybody there at the Ham Fest, and but then it's like, hey, so what are you doing tonight? Hey, you want to go? And you end up getting like 10 or 12 people all converge on Texas Roadhouse, and it's just a great time, a really, really, really good time. It's just fabulous, and I highly recommend it. If there's one to go to, that is definitely it. T-Ray, you are so kind, man. Look at that. Wealth of knowledge. You're really digging deep on that one, buddy.
But he really does, T-Ray. That's what I have him on, and
please.
we're gonna have Anthony on again because he's so good, and I'm enjoying this immensely. And that's one of the things somebody told me, like, who it was. I was talking to Mike last week, and he said, Bill, he said, it's like, okay, in Orlando, there's like one or two buildings, and that's really kind of it. Okay. But when you go there over to Dayton, he said, it's like there's 5 or 6, and it's just, each one of them is huge.
Yeah.
And
they're all huge. They're all named like
packed.
Here's the Hiram Maxim building. Here's they're all, here's the Armstrong building. They're all named after different, famous people from ham radio history. It's huge, dude. I'm not even going to kid you. Like, bring your good walking shoes, comfy shoes.
Yeah.
You're going to need them. Drink lots of water. Make sure you stay hydrated. Last year, in fact, I saw a few older fellas. They have some bleachers outside of one building. So I quite a few older fellas sitting there kind of huffing and puffing, catching their breath. And unfortunately, that wasn't any shade there. It was right in the sun. Oh, I got a really good sunburn. Well, I'm kind of sensitive to the sun. So, but totally worth it, man. I mean, yeah, really, if there's one to go to Dayton, go to Xenia. It's a good time. I'll tell you what, though, if you don't have accommodations by now, get your wallet out. Like the Hampton Inn there in Xenia, Ohio. I looked, and they were like $350 a night. Excuse me, for a Hampton? So my wife and I are staying, I don't know, 15, 20 miles away, and it's much more reasonable. Other people I know are getting like Airbnbs and whatnot, but yeah, I mean, I'm not going there to stay in a hotel room. I'm going there to go to the Ham Fest. So,
it's a good time. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to stay on the west side of Columbus. And because
because you have family in that area, right?
Yeah, my 2 sons and my daughter and her husband, they live kind of about 45 minutes north of Columbus. But what we did, we were there in December for a week, and we did Verbo, and really had a great time. And it was an apartment. It was $89 a night. Didn't have the best furniture or everything, but it was clean. It was neat. Had a refrigerator, washer, dryer, which was great because we stayed for a week. And it was in a great location. So, we're going to definitely revisit Verbo. Not sure if we're going to stay the west side of town or up near there, because there was a couple of restaurants my wife just absolutely fell in love with. So we may be going up there. But Dayton, Xenia, exactly where it's at. You may have heard of Cedarville University. It's stone's throw. My 2 older children went there. Okay.
Oh, cool.
So I know exactly where.
Yeah, I have a good friend that went there.
Well, I'll tell you everybody a short story. Hang on, T Ray and Janice and everybody. Um, my I told you my older son and my daughter went to college there. Well, they were on. There's a 4-lane bypass, and I don't know exactly where it is near Xenia. And my son was changing the disc. I had my favorite car I ever had, a 1998 Honda Accord. Okay, this is back about 2005 or so. Okay, and he was living off campus at the time, and he asked if he could borrow the Honda that day. I said, sure, why not? Okay, you've been doing pretty well with driving. I said, I don't, he's been driving for years. Okay, well, he and my daughter were going out to Chipotle for lunch. Well, he's all big on his music, and as I said, he flips CDs like people flip pancakes. Okay, well, he was flipping a CD, wasn't paying attention. Okay, and traffic was stopped. Okay, and this is like a 4-lane, 55-mile-an-hour kind of deal. He saw it at the last second, jammed on the brakes. Okay, and as he jammed on the brakes, okay, he hit a Chevy S10 pickup. Okay, and the front of the car, the hood, it went so far and it stopped. The spare tire, the officer told me, police officer told me, the spare tire stopped the car from going under any further. Now, as it was, my daughter got out of there without a scratch. My son, he had a compound fracture of his ankle from stepping on that brake so hard. But the Honda did its job. I mean, it absolutely did its job. They took them over to the hospital over in Dayton, and that was a sheer nightmare over there. They were going between a paper system and an electronic system over there.
Oh boy.
And they had given him a shot of morphine. He was laying on the gurney. He was all upset that he totaled the car and everything. I said, you know what? You're going to be all right. I'm fine with that. But I told him, I said, however, if Victoria, my daughter, however, if there had been a scratch on your sister, they'd be taking you to the coroner right now, not to surgery. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah. They were getting ready to give him another shot of morphine. And I was like, okay, in my loudest voice, I said, who's in charge here? Okay. And it wasn't soft. Okay. And I had the whole attention. It was their level 5 trauma center. And I had the head doctor come over to me and I said, look, she was getting ready to give him another shot of morphine. All right. And I know enough from my mother being a registered nurse for 40 years that could have caused a cardiac arrest and killed my son. So just wanted to make you kind of aware of that here, sir.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a real trip. That was,
thank God you were there and had that knowledge, I mean, my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking morphine overdose or something, but I didn't know anything about like a cardiac arrest or something. But
yeah,
isn't it funny how the information we learn throughout our lives becomes, applicable in scenarios we never thought they would be.
My ex-wife was there too, and she was getting ready to say the same thing as me. And I had my loud voice and I got everybody's attention, and he received stellar care after that moment. There was no problem with that.
I'll tell you what, when Papa Bear gets riled, that's one thing. But when Mama Bear gets riled,
oh yeah.
That's a whole other story.
That ended on a good note.
Well, good.
Good. He still has a little bit of a discernible limp to this day. And I mean, that was like in 2005. You could still see it's just a little bit of a limp. And it's always funny because whenever I would fly anywhere with him, he would set up, because he has plates and screws in his ankle.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
He sets it off every time. And he just points down there and they know. So,
Yep.
But no, I'm intimately familiar with that whole area around there. It's a wonderful area. Went to I think it's the Beaver Creek Mall. Okay. There's a mall down by Dayton. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, I know that place pretty much backwards and forwards.
So. I was stoked because I got to have Skyline chili for the first time.
Okay. All right.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, my understanding is either you love it or you hate it. There's really no middle ground.
Yeah, there's no middle ground for that.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I've been trying to get my family to have chili on spaghetti ever since, but nobody seems to be up for it.
Nobody wants to do that. Yeah.
It was really good. The company was great too. I mean, Scott and I, Kate J&O, we connected. We actually went there twice, I think, 2 or 3 times. But one night we connected with a guy and gal from our area. KA8 UGB. Anybody in the Midwest gets on 80 meters, you probably have heard Tony. And we had a wonderful evening there with Tony and his wife, and yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you go to something like that, and it's not just all the cool stuff you get to see; it's all the great people you get to meet. In a certain way, it's almost like a big family reunion.
Yeah,
and it's funny because you may not know everybody in the family, but it only takes a moment, and like your buds, you know.
Oh yeah.
So
And you know, and you really kind of hit the nail on the head. You know, it really is, and I know we've kind of said this several times. It's a community. It's a fellowship, and it's a great one because, you know, people think, and this is one of the things, because you know, you hear all this dire talk. Oh, ham radio's dying, dead, everything. You know, you hear all that, but if you look at the numbers have been going up, especially here in the United States, which is wonderful. Okay, I just, and what I did, I had a giveaway in December at Christmas time, and one of the things I gave away was hamradioprep.com,
cool.
a full package for somebody. And I think Floyd, who was in the chat, I think he won that.
Awesome.
You know, because I'm like, you know, I'm all about promoting our hobby. I'm all about, you know, wanting to be a good ambassador for our hobby. And I think that's one of the best things you can do, is something like that, you know. And I've kind of said this to people, you know, if you're interested, you know, let me know, and I'll at least buy you a technician class. You know, just to get started and see how you like it. You know, and that's one of the things I'm kind of trying to kind of poke my wife a little bit, because, you know, I think she would, you know, and I told her, I said, you don't have to take the other 2 exams. You know, no, you know, just get your technician license so you could be able to talk on the radio, which I think is great. One of the other questions and I wanted to ask you this, you know, Yaesu's coming out with a new radio. What do you think about that?
It's another radio. I mean, you know, I'm bummed it doesn't have the touch screen. You know, you talk about the 500, the MTM 500.
The 500,
yeah. So, yeah, I'm bummed it doesn't have the touch screen. I tell you, maybe this isn't, you know, a popular opinion, but this whole supply chain shortage thing, you know, we've had this long enough. I think they should have this thing figured out by now. Okay. That's all I'm saying. I feel like they should have this crap figured out. And I think, I don't know why Yaesu would have killed that off. They say it's supply chain, but I'm telling you what, if I can buy other devices with color touch screens, I understand, you know, we've got to retool everything for the casing. We've got to, you know, the printed circuit board. I get all that. But to come out with the successor to the FTM 400 and it's not touchscreen, I know I'm being trite. Like, well, come on, dude, press a button. You know, okay, I get it, but it just seems like it's going backwards to me. All that complaining to say, it looks like a great radio. It's probably going to be a higher price than I would personally pay, but I think it's going to be, you know, a Cadillac for that kind of radio, you know, 2 meter 440 mobile, be great to have in a shack. It does all the fusion stuff, APRS. I mean, really, it's the next gen FTM 400 with a few extra things, minus a touchscreen. But yeah, I mean, I'm probably not going to buy one because I have an FTM 400. So
yeah, I mean,
you know,
one of the things, I'm kind of in the market, and I'm very interested in it. And I think you're right as far as the touchscreen is concerned. I agree wholeheartedly with that, because, you know, it's so nice to be able to, you know, or use that felt tip pen and being able to do things on it, which is fantastic. But
the thing is, if you want APRS, that's the radio you're going to get.
Yeah.
And, you know, APRS is cool. Oh, pro tip for Dayton: turn your APRS off. Unless you want your radio just constantly receiving beacons and going off. Okay. It's insane. I'm like, turn that off. And I turned it to a different frequency on my VFO. But yeah, you know, I think it's gonna be a good radio. It's just not me, but that's okay. I mean, it will be for somebody, you know. The thing is, like I say, if you want APRS, that's what you're gonna need to get. The whole DPRS thing with ICOM, I think, is nobody uses that. So there's a few other things. I think some of the Anytone mobiles, maybe they do APRS. I don't know. If APRS is important to you, that's a radio you're going to want to get. So
I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, it's well, it's something I'm going to look into because that's a void because I don't have anything in my vehicle currently, and that's something that's under consideration for me. And again, I'm also looking, like you, I'm thrifty with my money, okay, and I want to make sure. I know I would get a good value for the dollar, but I'm not so sure, how high this is going to be. Is it going to be upwards 500, 600, 700, somewhere in
yeah.
that ballpark? And I'm like, that's a hard pill to swallow, kind of a thing.
Hey,
So
and
we'll
you know
see.
what? For that price, they need to start putting single sideband in those radios.
Hmm.
They do. I mean, I'm fine with all the digital, this, that, and the other, and APRS and all these, digital voice and whatnot. But my gosh, give me something a little more ham. Give me a little more ham with my ham.
Yeah,
I mean,
with
put
my ham.
SSB on those things. I don't know why they don't, but there's
Oh, I
probably some
agree with
technical
you.
reason, but I don't know what it is.
I agree, and it's like for me, I would that's one of the things I've kept saying. I think we were separated at birth too because I was thinking the same exact thing on this. I'm looking at it, I'm looking at what the potential specs are and everything, and I'm like, what about SSB? I'm like,
Yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
yeah, come on,
You
I
know,
love you guys. I love, and let me say this. I love Yesu and I love ICOM. Okay. I think they both do a great job. I think they're both great manufacturers. But you know what? Listen to what your customers want. Okay. And that's one thing I got to say this before we wrap things up here. You know, in the drone arena, especially DJI, they do have a tendency to listen to what their customers want. Is in the like in the consumer space. The
mhm.
professional space, it's a whole other ball game because you're talking crazy, insane money for some of those drones. But for the other ones, like about 1,000, 2,000 type of dollars for those kind of drones, they really do listen to the customers out there, and they're very oriented towards that. And I kind of wish Yaesu and ICOM would start picking that up as well too, because
Yeah.
they need to realize the North American market is not a small market. Okay, we may not be their number one customer, but we're pretty close to it. And just listen to us because obviously if there's something out there that we're gonna like, say for example, like they would put SSB on the 500. It would be like, okay, DX is out of stock, Gigaparts is out of stock, Ham Radio Online's out of stock. They would fly off the shelves, kind of a thing. So just one of them.
Oh, wow. T-Ray says he still has an FTDX 400 in the box. Like, dude, you could probably sell that for more than you paid for it.
Yeah.
You're hitting on something really important. Okay. Here's the thing. I think for Yaesu and ICOM, I don't think we are, like I said, I've heard that hams aren't necessarily that they're prime market, that there's other people that use comms that are. But you look at a company like Flex, you look at a company like Elecraft. We are their main market, and they do listen to their customers. They do make changes and upgrades and improvements to their products. That's also another reason why I'm really kind of getting sweet on other than the big two.
Yeah.
I'm really doing my research there, and maybe we'll pull the trigger on something this year. So, and I think that's really important. Yeah, I mean, I feel like my voice is heard when I go to a Flex or Elecraft booth or I email or anything like that. I feel like there's like they're listening. So
Yeah, and I agree 100% with you. I mean,
which means I'm probably never going to get a sponsorship from Yaesu or ICOM on my channel now, but it's like, well, whatever, you got to tell the truth,
Well, it's funny, and I got to say this, like in the drone community, what they'll do is when a new drone comes out, there'll be several who obviously they have over 100K subscribers. They'll give them that product in advance to test it, but they sign confidentiality agreements, But in the end, they get to keep it. All right.
Oh,
And I just find, it's so interesting coming over to the ham radio side of things. And I know Floyd's in the chat, and because he's one of my drone guys, and he knows this all too well. But you coming in here, Josh is getting something, he's testing it, and well, I'm taking it back to ham radio outlet, and I'm like, what? I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't get to, it kind of floored me because, it's just, that's the way it is in the drone community, but it's polar opposite here. You get to try it. I know Jason's done the same thing too. I've tried it. Yeah. Going back, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, wow. All right. That one of those kind of things that kind of floored me. I wasn't prepared for that.
Well, and some places will give you the gear, and that's part of the if you pursue YouTube with a business mindset, that is actually part of the compensation is getting free stuff. However, free stuff doesn't make my mortgage payment or my car payment. So
yes, 100%.
But it's still cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not crying about it. But yeah, and plus too, like with Josh, he can go to HRO in Anaheim there, and they could probably loan. I don't know if he does this. I'm guessing. But they could probably just loan him something because he's right there in Anaheim. Great rapport. Bring it back when he's done. By the way, it's a great HRO. It's a wonderful little store. I've been there. It's the one in Anaheim. That's the only HRO I've been to. But it's nice when you live by something like that. Or maybe if say you lived in Alabama, northern Alabama, you maybe you could go borrow something from Gigaparts for a day or something. I don't know if they do this or not, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, because we are all hams. And, we just want to share the good stuff,
Yeah.
The 6600 T-Ray. That's, oh man. Yeah. That's
Dear Santa.
That's what I'm looking at. That was actually recommended to me by someone for contesting. So, yeah. I'm going to have to sell a few guitars, I think, before I can do
Anthony, I would love to have you on again sometime.
Likewise, I'd like to have you on my show. We'll figure that out the next few weeks.
Tell me when. I know you're on Sundays at 6, I think. Yeah,
roughly, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine with me. This hour went way too quick. And there's so many more things I want to talk about. First of all, I'm looking forward to meeting you coming up, near the end of May. That's just going to be a blast, and everybody that's going to be out there. That's just going to be fun. And I want to thank everybody in the chat tonight. I know a couple of my drone guys, Mike B, T-Ray is here tonight. Andy was here tonight. Floyd Moats, Janice was here tonight. Thank you guys.
Hannah was here. That's my daughter.
And Hannah. Okay, wow.
Yeah,
that's fantastic, Anthony. It was an absolute pleasure. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. As always, guys, remember it's a great day to make a QSO. 7 3s, everybody.
7-3.